Good morning, everybody. Nice to have you here. It's a Monday morning for me right now, but I have the day off, so I'm pretty happy. And I thought we would get into the pretty much weekly update on what's going on in Cardano by just looking at the top posts over on the Cardano subreddit. Yeah, let's switch over to that. Hope you're all doing well, and as always, I'm always happy to answer any questions that you have. On stream because I think that's more fun interacting with you guys than just reading my computer. Okay. So, yep, we're looking at r/Cardano for the top post for the past week. And I swear, this Reddit now is just posts about how popular this Reddit is, right? It's pretty cool, though. And to me, if you look at this curve, it looks like we've entered the, I don't know what you call it, like the spine or the vertical part of another S curve, where like if you just focus back on 2017 to January 2018 to January 2019, you can see that like we had all this growth almost 3 years ago, going from like basically launching until like around 60,000 subscribers in the subreddit, and now 3 years later, you like over those 3 years, we basically went from 60,000 to 100,000, and then now we're basically like entered this other kind of like explosive growth, and it's going to be pretty interesting. I think, when do we start to see this move sideways, and that actually might be a little bit of an indicator of for this cycle, like how how high we might be going. Actually, it's not financial advice. I've heard that actually is meaningless to say, and it's not necessary to say because no one should really assume that a random YouTuber is not that I'm a YouTuber is giving financial advice, but in as much as this is kind of a representation of interest in Cardano, and another thing like a Google Trends keyword searches, um, this kind of gives us an idea, right, about what's going on there. Next, that's an ad. This is a cool one. I actually kind of was looking forward to kind of breaking down this post because there's some stuff I know here and some stuff I don't know here. This is just a screenshot, right, of a little conversation over on Twitter. And just to comment a little bit about this is one of the cool things about, you know, Charles Hoskinson, who sometimes gets some flack for like posting crazy stuff, and I would sometimes agree with that. But uh, this is just some random dude, right? This Freaky Will one, uh, and he's just like commenting on something, and Charles drops some knowledge on him, or drops some updates as he's requested. Like, I kind of agree with this Freaky Will guy. Like, I think it's pretty poor form to announce announcements and announce announcements of announcements. Like, just wait till you have something to say and then say it, right? Hey guys, I'm making an announcement. 6 months from now, Monad will have a really big announcement to make. Okay, so uh, delegate now because in 6 months I'm gonna make a cool announcement. Okay, I mean, right? Like that's meaningless. Okay, but to get back into the positive side, Charles is talking about 2021. What is happening in 2021? The smart contracts, number one. Like that is what I'm looking most forward to. And I actually have, maybe we'll talk about it at the end of this. I have an idea for something I'd like to write into a smart contract. Um, yeah. Forge is just saying how that's kind of common in. I think Justin Sun is what Tezos or one of those other chains, something like that. EOS or one of the other ones that was hot for a minute. But smart contracts is coming out. Like I said, I'm excited for that because I have an idea for actually how to solve one of the problems that I think exists with smaller pools, which I kind of started posting on this week. Don't know if we'll get to that. I think we will. We'll have time. Voltaire, which is the governance, the voting piece, which again, actually, I think made some pretty good progress with Daedalus 3.3, the release of that. How Catalyst now, you don't have to download like an extra version of Daedalus and make a wallet in that one and send your ADA to that one. Like at least it's all now in normal mainline Daedalus. The only thing you can't do is vote with a hardware wallet, um, which is a little bit of a bummer. But I mean, like that affects me personally. But I think a lot of people probably aren't using hardware wallets, so I'm still very happy and very positive about how much more, how do you say, how many more people will be able to take part in Project Catalyst now that Daedalus has voting kind of integrated with the mobile app. If you haven't gotten that, yeah, Ford just saying it's Tron in channel. Check that out and or ask me for some help to get that set up because I set it up with my mom's wallet that I kind of managed for her, and it was pretty smooth and I liked it. Lots of Hydra action. Hydra is the way that I think you kind of like run chains in parallel in Cardano. So basically addressing scaling for that point in the future when blocks don't have like 7 transactions in them, but actually a significant amount of transactions. Full Prism integration. Prism is the identity thing that was kind of thought to be in the news, but wasn't actually this week with the Ethiopia national ID thing that happened. DCF. I wasn't sure what DCF stood for, so I tried reading some of the comments before this. I think it's supposed to mean Decentralized Cardano Foundation, which some people took to me like maybe like the Cardano Foundation can be dissolved. I know there's some like anger in the community or something about that, so I'm not sure what DCF means. If anyone knows more precisely what does this DCF mean after full Prism integration, I'd be interested. But from what I was reading, it seems to be a reference to a decentralized Cardano Foundation rather than a centralized entity in Switzerland, which could be cool. Cardano 2025 approved by the community. I guess this to me, I think that the current IOHK contract with the Cardano Foundation is actually up, right? Like, or the time has elapsed. I think it ran out at the end of 2020, maybe, and maybe there was a few things that weren't delivered under the contract, so they've continued to work on it just because. But right, there does need to be another kind of main contract to develop Cardano. Ouroboros Omega will be published. That's like all the new hotness going on with the developments in Ouroboros, which is the consensus protocol that actually runs the Cardano network or allows it to run. I'm going to butcher this word. Yella with mainstream languages. This is like a virtual machine for running different programming languages on the Cardano blockchain, I believe. Tons of dApps. Daedalus 2. Daedalus 2 sounds interesting. I don't like what is Daedalus 2? Like maybe I was trying to imagine what Daedalus 2 would be, and I'm imagining that might be something to do with the Age USD, which was the basically the stable coin or like the Tether equivalent that I saw. I think it was Ergo that was working on that a little bit to have an algorithmic stable coin, and maybe Daedalus 2 includes some kind of features to trade back and forth between ADA and Age USD, which I think is the name of that stablecoin, which would be pretty cool for people to be able to potentially, swing trade ADA without having to involve Binance or Kraken or any of the other exchanges. I think that would be actually pretty amazing. But that's just my speculation. Obviously there's could be any number of things that Daedalus 2 might integrate. A mobile version, if you aren't already aware, there is no mobile version of Daedalus. There's a mobile version of Yoroi only. There is a scam app in the store, which says it's from IOHK, but it's like a slightly misspelling or there's like a comma or something there. And I don't know if that's still up in the store, but that also happened in the past week or two. So do not install Daedalus on your mobile phone because it's fake and it will steal all your ADA. Hundreds of tokens on Cardano. Yeah, there's the Singularity Net. There's a bunch of other things. I saw a few other projects, like 2 or 3, that are looking at porting over. Dominating Slash has another 175,000 Cardano subs achieved. So this one, this is pretty cool because he's given some metrics. It's kind of related again to the thing we just saw at the first post, but January 12th we finally hit 100,000. So it took us like 3 or 4 years to reach 100,000. February 10th we hit 150, and today we hit February 15th we hit 175. So I think are we already at the limit? 198,000. So probably later today we will hit 200,000, and today right now in Japan it's February 22nd. So from January 12th to February 22nd is what, a month and 10 days. We got our next 100,000 in a month and 10 days, and the first 100,000 took us 3 years, right? So that kind of shows you how things are growing right now. And I actually think this next post is kind of related. Anyone fans of Rick and Morty? Justin Roiland just tweeted about Cardano. Charles asked time for a Rick and Morty ad. I've watched a few episodes of Rick and Morty. I have to admit, I'm not like super into it. I think it's funny, but I've never like gotten super into it. And but I do think like the Rick and Morty audience is kind of like probably like the most mainstream part of the culture that might be willing and ready to accept some kind of Cardano thing, right? You liking it, Forge? Rick and Morty, right? There's some things that are a bit off-putting to me. Like I saw a few videos of like some dude pretending to freak out in a McDonald's over Szechuan sauce, I think. And he just looked stupid. But yeah, it's kind of like a geeky group of people, it seems like, who like to think they're very intelligent for getting Rick and Morty. And so maybe they will be interested in what is this thing. And of course, this came very shortly after Gene Simmons, which I'm sure is going to be a post down below, came over to Cardano. So it does seem like there's getting some kind of mainstream celebrity recognition. You like my Japanese Reddit ads for credit cards and shit. It's Just the Beginning by Alexandra Huck. She has a giant pool. I think it's like 63 million ADA in it, and she's a popular Twitter personality for Cardano and cryptocurrencies in general. Mostly Cardano, but I think also a little bit of Bitcoin and other stuff. So she kind of covers Guns N' Roses drummer, Gene Simmons Kiss, Rick and Morty, and yeah, these guys coming out in public. So yeah, just more media adoption. It seems like, right? If anyone notice a trend, what are the posts about? The posts are about, so far, I think 4 out of 5 of them have been about the growth in the space and the kind of acceptance in the space. So I think this was a big week in terms of, let's just talk about it for a second. $1, everybody. I remember my wife and I were talking about when I first kind of told her about Cardano and that we were putting some money in and stuff like that, or that I wanted to put some money in, and she was like, where is this going? Like, how long is it gonna take? And I was telling her, like, I don't know. I think like probably like sometime next year, which is now next year, like 2022, maybe we'll get to $1. So I was expecting. I had a little Excel sheet where I was gonna dollar cost average by like 25-30% of my salary every month, and I was planning on the price of ADA going up by 1 cent every month. So every month I'd get slightly less ADA in my dollar cost average, and that plan got blown to shit. It didn't get blown to shit, but I'm getting a lot less ADA for my dollar cost average now than I was a few months ago, which is not a bad problem, right? it means that the ADA that I put in initially is worth a lot more. So it's that's the whole point of dollar cost averaging, right? This was actually a pretty cool post, and I'm not talking about mine that just popped up. I think this guy's name is Dave Lee. Nice kind of. I think when I grow up, I'd like to be someone like Dave Lee or one of these. There's another Asian one. What's his name? Jerome, I think. But like they give calmer, more relaxed crypto YouTube videos, not so hyped and not so crazy. And I just put two and two together. I don't know. It's maybe something about us being Asian that we can be calm and level-headed and less hypey, or maybe I'm just putting my audience to sleep right now. So my normal voice or my I'm trying to be calm voice? Which one is the voice for it? So okay, in this video, Charles makes a pretty good point, which I had never thought about before. I was pretty convinced. Hey Darko, nice to see you in chat. I'll try some different voices later on, but I've always kind of thought I've kind of bought into the pivot from like Bitcoin is going to replace PayPal and everything to no, Bitcoin is going to be a store of value. But Charles's point in this video is like the only reason Bitcoin has value is because it has value, I think are his words. And he makes the kind of case for that. The moment an alt flips Bitcoin, Bitcoin's like reason for existence is over because it doesn't have, good transactions per second. It doesn't have smart contracts. It doesn't have governance. It doesn't have the ability to change itself easily. Like, so a lot of its reasons for being strong, like a strong store of value right now, are actually probably going to work against it in the future. And so I'd say, when I talk to other people who I do give financial advice to, like my mother, who is a really awesome old lady, and I'll probably have her on stream and explain crypto to her sometime. She's built up a pretty decently sized crypto portfolio. I'm really proud of her, and so she doesn't get the technology, and she just kind of doesn't like existing financial systems and everything, and she's kind of happy to flip off the man or whatever and get involved in crypto that way. But she is, when I talk to her, I'm like, yeah, she's very kind of interested in like buying into, what we would call shit coins and like hoping that they pump. Uh, right, Darko? Yeah, yeah. Proof of work will transition to proof of stake. Um, that proof of stake is really proof of stake and Haskell are the reason I got into Cardano because like those two things were the proof of stake. Like I remember reading the Bitcoin talk forums like when like people were like this is eventually going to replace proof of work, and that was like like I think like 8 or 7 years ago now, and like it was just like a pipe dream. But the fact that it was actually launching when I got into Cardano in around June or July of last year, I thought that was super cool, and I thought like, okay, now this is the time to get into crypto again, and it's in Haskell, so uh, yeah. But again, like the thing that he said that I think he said, correct me if I'm wrong, Darko, is that like there could be like this kind of tipping point behavior where Bitcoin is number one until it's number one, and the moment that it doesn't become number one or that someone else replaces it, there's a potential for it to like go to zero. I wouldn't say go to zero, but like there will be a large incentive for Bitcoin to like light a fire under its ass and actually try to start to innovate some of these newer technologies that other blockchains have done, because you know all of these other blockchains could be a store of value as well, in addition to all the other, whether it's IOTA or Chainlink or whatever, like any arbitrary coin, if people agree that it has value and choose to use it as a store of value, will be a store of value, right? But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I never thought about it that way, and so I was pretty comfortable telling my mom or trying to convince my mom like, at least put like half of your crypto portfolio into Bitcoin. For me, I have a very simple crypto portfolio, which is not following good advice. I'm 100% all in ADA and Cardano. But for my mom, I don't feel comfortable recommending to her, the same kind of bullish perspective that I have. I think she's around like a quarter to half in Cardano. Probably more like 40% actually. I think she's got still 10% in like random projects that she hopes will pump. But um, for my mom, I think it's a better kind of balance kind of thing. Yeah. I was pretty happy this week. I don't know if you saw while you were scrolling through Reddit, but I actually appeared in the top 10 posts this week on Reddit. Uh, it's really funny to me. Sometimes this post does really well. This is the first time it's gotten 1,000 upvotes, and I'd say a normal number is somewhere between 200 and 400 for this post. This epic update post, and actually, um, I want to talk about this update because I actually have a new idea of what I want to do that was actually triggered by some stuff that happened um, to Monad this week. And I think it could be actually a pretty good idea for the Cardano community. So I don't know if you guys all know, there's this kind of idea or this stuff. I try to pay a little bit of attention to other blockchains that like Cardano's not, it's a ghost chain, right? Like, oh yeah, you say you have like 1,800 validators, which is what I guess pools are called in other proof of stake chains. But only, like a couple hundred of them actually mint blocks, right? And so I was super lucky because this week, just to pull it up, or not this week, an epic or two ago, Monad got a whale. We got 1,000,000 ADA. Ripple, they're called validators. Is that it, Darko? I think I've also heard it talked about in Polkadot. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm assuming that the validators are basically pools in those other chains. And then we got another 300,000. So what happened that made me think about the idea I'm about to talk about is Monad went from something like a 300,000 ADA pool to a 1.65 million ADA pool now. And like we basically are now not guaranteed a block every epoch, but we will average a block every epoch. And some people were pretty confused by that when I said it on Twitter. Um, you know, I guess they were worried that I was spreading FUD or being too optimistic about my pool. But I will just show you what I'm talking about here quickly first. So in this epoch, I have a 32% chance of 0 blocks, and I have a 60 or a 36% chance of 1 block, and a 21% chance of 2 blocks. And I'm going to focus on this, not just 2, but there's actually a very small chance of 3 or 4. I have a 31% chance of 2 or more blocks. So I have a 30% chance of 2 or more. I have a 36% chance of 1, and I have a 32% chance of 0. So what I'm saying is, on average, there will be epochs where there are 0 blocks, but there should be, in the long run, the same number of epochs with 2 blocks. So obviously, the average of 2 and 0 is 1. So at this level of stake, which I think is like 1.26 or 1.25 million, any pool that is at 1.25 million should average 1 block per epoch. And that's, I think, a pretty big deal because even though it's not guaranteed a block every epoch, I think most delegators want to get rewards every 5 days, right? It's kind of natural. Like you like to see that slow, steady drip of accumulation in your wallet. And so what's painful about the small pool experience, right? I'll just pull up Forge because I see him in chat. If we look at this kind of thing, right? Like Forge is he's let's see, green is the pool size. He's grown. He had some kind of shrink. He's grown and he's shrinking. Like he's now sitting at a decent, exactly where I was almost before I got lucky with this 1,300,000. By the way, thanks to the person who is in chat who was part of that. Super appreciative. Um, during this kind of growth period, I'd say there's two main hurdles a pool operator has to get through. The first, which I think is kind of on them, is to mint their first block. And I don't think anyone should really support a pool getting their first block by delegating with them, because like there's no way to know if that pool has their pool set up correctly. So it kind of sucks, but you kind of have to just take your pledge, and any of your like maybe friends and close family members who will support you, and you put that into your pool, and you have to wait 1.26 million divided by however much ADA you have, at least around that. So if you, let's say you had 100,000 ADA, right, which is a good chunk of change nowadays, 100,000 US dollars ish. Um, you put that into your pool as pledge, and maybe, or some people don't want to put it in pledge; they're not comfortable with that yet, so they keep it in Daedalus, and they stake with their own wallet to their own pool. But you do that, and then you're going to basically have to wait around 12 epochs to mint your first block. Not guaranteed. You could get lucky; it could come on your first epoch. It could be really unlucky and come on your 24th epoch. But until you get that block, there's no way for the rest of the community to know that you've actually got your pool set up correctly. So I think once you get your first block, that's when I started to do marketing, right? Or tried to talk about my pool on Reddit and Twitter and that kind of thing, because I had no desire to even try to get other people to support me until I had supported myself enough that I had got that block. I actually think it's a little bit of a lie, because there's a pool operator who's actually in chat right now who he staked with me and helped me get my first block, because I had helped him some issues that he was having. So that was a weird kind of edge case kind of thing, but I was super appreciative of that, and that kind of really helped launch Monad. So there's that level. That's the first hurdle, is getting your first block. I think the next hurdle for a stake pool operator is getting to regular block production. And I really do feel that the growth that Monad has gone through, and I'll just use myself as an example because I'm familiar with it. If I pull up Monad now, right, you can. It's funny, when that million and the 300,000 came in, it kind of dwarfs our previous growth, so it all gets shrunk down. But like, I don't want to diminish this growth from 0 to 392,000. Like, that was very hard for me. That was 14 epics. So what's 14 times 5? Like 60 days. I guess it's not that long. And I think Monad has had a pretty atypical growth pattern, because I think that with the Reddit posts that we make and some of the Twitter stuff and the YouTube stuff going on, like I think we've actually grown pretty fast for a new pool that doesn't have any kind of I don't know, gimmick or other thing, right? Uh, or other kind of reason to delegate with us. So the idea, I'm so horrible at explaining and where I went off on this tangent. The idea is basically that people get together like on Reddit or Twitter or on a Google sheet, and they agree in principle to stake to a new pool, or not a new pool, a smaller pool together, right? But they don't actually go and delegate with them until they have like a million or 2 million ADA ready to go, right? So everyone can sit in Digi or Bloom or the giant pool that is making them rewards every epic with their like 20,000 ADA or 5,000 ADA or 500 ADA, or maybe even like 100 or 200,000 ADA, right? Because they don't want, I think a lot of those people who are having like, lower than, let's say, 500,000 or a million ADA, like the chunk of ADA that could basically take a pool into regular block production, those people don't want to suffer the irregular rewards. I won't say lesser rewards, because on average they should average out, but the irregularity of the rewards by having their funds in a smaller pool, right? So the idea that I had was, and I've done two ways of doing this. I think first, let me pull it up on my other monitor first to make sure that I'm not disclosing any personal information, is that we basically get offline, and in a Google sheet, or I think in the new version I made it like a Google form. I'm just pulling it up right now. We get together and we say, hey, let's do this. So I'm just going to pull up the first example, which was on a Google sheet. put this over onto the main monitor now. Right, this is the dumbest version of this idea. I put my name down. I say I'm willing to delegate 1,000 ADA. Some other people said 1,000, 1,500, and 25,000. So theoretically, when this gets to 1,000,000 or 2,000,000 ADA, we can have like a little committee call. And what I want to do is pull up the monad pool / Cardano.html and make a few recommendations for small pools that are like, if this chunk of ADA that we've all agreed to delegate were to go to that pool would regularly mint blocks. And the reason I think that's a cool idea is because, that's basically taking the number of pools that regularly mint blocks and adding one to it. And if we can get the community to kind of do this, every epoch would be like a great cycle. Every time I post this little update, whoever's in the bucket, right, we have a discussion. I propose like 5 or 6 or 10 new pools, or someone proposes, it doesn't have to be me, that are locating their infrastructure in Eastern Europe or South America or Inner Mongolia, some of the darker regions on this map. And I'll just show the pool that when I was doing some like kind of AMA thing, I came across. I think it's pretty interesting. I'd like to have them on stream in a little bit and just ask them what they're doing and why, because I think they're doing some good stuff. So I'm going to add a filter and GRC1, our ticker name. Let's see. I think this is this ticker, GRC1. And then let's go look at the relay layer. So this GRC1 guy, I don't know if you can see, I'll close this Google Sheet. I thought this was pretty cool because like he was coming up when I was making a thread recommending pools to people. And I first thought he was a Greek pool, and like someone was from Greece and they were asking for a pool near them, and I found GRC1. And then someone was from like, Indonesia or Malaysia, and I found him again. I'm like, wait, that's kind of weird. Why is a guy in Greece also in Malaysia and Indonesia and India and Tokyo and Germany and UK and New York? And this guy's basically spread his relays all over the world. He's got 9 of them, and he's serving some rather he's not just like throwing them on AWS. Like the easy thing to do would be, AWS East, Tokyo, Singapore, Frankfurt. I've got relays all over the world. He's actually going with some kind of like local ISPs in Greece. I think I talked to him a little bit. This is like a university in Greece that he's hosting this one on. And this is Alibaba, which is like, Amazon of China. This is another Alibaba one. Like, but he's got a wide digital ocean and a wide variety of different servers. So I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, thanks guys. I appreciate it. But am I making sense with what I want to do? And the idea here, right, is that like, let's say we have 300 or 400 pools that regularly mint blocks. We need to increase that number so that we don't have all these like zombie pools laying around that aren't. I want zombie pools is too mean. Like that aren't. They've got everything set up. They're trying, but they're not able to regularly mint. And I think at least my hypothesis again is, if a pool can get to regular block production, I think the growth of that pool kind of goes up from there, because then people are okay supporting a smaller pool, because even though it's smaller, they're still getting their rewards every epoch, and that's fun, right? I don't know about you guys, but one of the hardest things for me the past how do you say, past, what was it, since epoch 237 or whenever it was, 231 that I started, is I really liked seeing, a chunk of ADA appear in my Daedalus wallet every month. And now that I'm operating a pool, or when I was operating a pool that wasn't able to make regular block production, thank you guys for your kind comments in chat. There not only was there the opportunity cost, not only was there the cost of my servers that I was running, there was also the opportunity cost of the rewards that I wasn't getting, right? And yeah, it more than made up for it, because we got pretty lucky with our blocks, with 2 blocks in a very short time. So that was kind of cool. But it was actually thanks to, one person. I'm not going to call them out in chat because I don't want to embarrass them unless they want to come forward. But thanks to those two people who, delegated 1,300,000 ADA, now we are in kind of like, we should be in regular block production mode once all this stake goes live, where we're pretty much, it'll be, like I said, the same number of epochs that we don't mint to block will get two, at least according to the math. So I thought that was a cool idea. And what I'd like to do, I think, in the going forward, in the real version of this, I want to write this as a smart contract, right? Where, you know, um, people can kind of agree in principle to delegate to a pool that is selected by the smart contract when the smart contract contains 1 million or 2 million ADA, right? But what I want to do is I kind of want to beta test that right now with this offline process, because I'm kind of worried that people might like they agree in principle because they want to support a small pool, and that's why like I'm not talking about like mission driven pools, because I think some charities turn some people off and get other people super excited. So to me, the main purpose of this initiative is not to support, you know, um, charity cases or that kind of thing. It's actually to support the Cardano network itself by helping it be more robust and spread out and decentralized, right? Like the mission is to support the Cardano network. And so uh, I don't want to add in any criteria for, like you should support a charity or you should do whatever, because I actually think that for me, the number one thing is to make the Cardano network as strong and robust as possible. And because let's face it, if the Cardano network isn't as strong or very strong and good, the mission driven pools can't survive, because if Cardano dies, they can't do their charities. So I would actually say that as like right now in the initial growing stages, establishing a strong base and a strong foundation is actually the best thing you can do for even for a mission driven pool. Because if this all goes tits up, then no one will be getting staking rewards to give to charities because those pools won't exist. So that's just my personal opinion at where we're at right now. Of course, I'm really excited by a lot of the good work that you see happening in the charity pools and that kind of stuff. So I think this was originally about r/Cardano. So we can jump back to that. But I made a second version of that sheet. I think it's in the post for where is it? For this epic 249. So I'll throw a link to that in chat right now, just for you guys. If this is something that you're interested in, where did I make it? There's a Google form. I'm putting it into the chat right now. I'll put it in the description too, because I actually think what I was just talking about is like the culmination, and like I've been making this epic update the reason I'm talking about in the r/Cardano weekly update thread or epic update thread this week in r/Cardano video is I've been doing this every week, and I every week people are like, there's not a lot of pools in Africa. I don't see a lot of activity in Africa. I don't see a lot of activity in South America. I don't see, Canada. I don't see Russia. I don't see this. And so what I want to do is, rather than just posting, I would say this is a diagnostic of where the Cardano network is today. I don't want to just like sit on my ass and look at like, yeah, that's the Cardano network. I actually want to help the Cardano network grow and spread out into some of these places. And until now, what I've been doing is recommending people to delegate to some of the pools they see here individually. But I think that individual delegation is kind of painful, right? For the reasons that we just talked about. So what I want to do is try to organize us a little bit so that we can get 1 million or 2 million ADA together and all delegate it in, this white dot over here. And then this white dot will now have like regular, block production. And basically we're rewarding people who are setting up pools in some of the dark parts of this map so that those parts of the map don't stay dark, right? Because if this becomes popular enough, then stake pool operate new. Here's my kind of like game planning scenario. New pools should stop opening their relays all in AWS Frankfurt, where there's like 800 relays now, right? That adds like no value to the network. But if new pools know that there's this mechanism that if they were to open up something in, let's say, Ecuador or Belize or my geography is just tapped out, Venezuela or Uruguay, whatever, some of these countries that they might be up for getting a million or 2 million, ADA delegation. I think that would be a very strong incentive for new pool operators to not just spin up their pools in the bog standard New York, Frankfurt, Tokyo, Singapore locations, but actually to find some kind of better locations to locate their infrastructure. So that's what I'm thinking. I put the Google form in the link below. It's already got like 9 replies or so, and I'm hoping that the visibility of this post, along with the right, I put one image at the end. Want to see Cardano spread, but don't want to miss rewards every epoch. Click the link to coordinate stake to make viable pools across the globe. I'm hoping that because this post, in this version, it only has gotten 266 upvotes. I think that's because this is the update that I made on the weekend. I think this post, when the epic transition happens on a weekday, this post goes crazy because I think people are at work and they're bored and they're like browsing Reddit, and so this post gets a lot more upvotes. And on the weekend, if the epic update happens on a weekend, I think most people are out having fun on the weekend, and they're not like paying so much attention to the Cardano subreddit, so it doesn't get as many upvotes. But the idea is I want to incorporate this as a regular feature into this post every update. And right now it might take us 5 or 10 epochs to get a million or 2 million ADA into this kind of thing. But I kind of want to build this as an institution, or as, like I said, once we figure out some of the kinks, and we've done this once or twice, and Gogan launches, I'd really like to kind of figure out how to do this as a smart contract so that, I can stay in my big pool until such time that we can make a new pool viable. And like I said, the 2 criteria that I'm imagining are they have made a block, because I want to see that they have some skin in the game. And maybe the other thing is that, they are locating their infrastructure in a kind of, at least not like AWS data center in Frankfurt kind of thing, right? I want to see the network decentralized. And so that's what I want to support there. Was that too long of a tangent on r/Cardano update? Sorry, guys. If you have any questions about that or any ideas, please let me know. If you think, especially if you see any problems with it, right? Because I want to figure out those problems and figure out how to have a solution or a workaround to them. Awesome, thank you. Back to the exciting Reddit content. Upcoming big update, Cardano 2021. I thought this was kind of good. There's another site that I think I'll show you right after we go through this post. But somebody just, I guess it's KI Block. Just shout out to KI Block. Awesome. Thank you, Forge. There's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe, and maybe that's some of the reason why, I felt a little bit worried, like, are we at $1? Are we stretched? Are we overextended? Like, is it all coming back down? But when I take a step back and I think about everything that's happening and everything that's coming to Cardano, I feel a lot safer than I do before I take into all that stuff into account, right? So as a stake pool operator, this is pretty cool. I have updated Monad a few weeks ago, actually, to be running the latest version of the node so that it's ready for the merry hard fork. If you we like everyone over on Monad Pool YouTube. One of the first posts I actually made was I think it was a transition from 1.19 to 1.23, but there was some good chunk of pools, like 5% or 10%, that weren't running the latest node. If your pool operator is not running the latest node, you should do one of 2 things. You should bug them to get them to update, or confirm with you that they are on the latest node. So what I would do is ask them the version that they're running, and then they'll go and find it. And if it's not 1.25.2, you can then say, hey, buddy, can you please update the node so that you're ready for this? And if not, if they don't do that, or if they don't reply to that, you need to get staked with another pool before that hard fork happens, because otherwise it's basically the same as them not meeting their pledge, right? They won't be able to make blocks if they're not on the latest version of the node, and you won't be able to get rewards from them that way. Yeah, Darko. Tell me what you guys think. I've been putting in, Darko saying that a buck is still cheap. The platform is coming together, so exciting. So I don't want to get into dollar figures, but I've been putting around 25 to 33% of my after tax income into Cardano every month as a dollar cost average. And like I said, like I was planning on doing that at like 10, 12, 13 cents. We are at 1.25 at 1. I'm going to finish this train of thought. Sorry, Forge. And then I'll get to that. And it's very strange for me, when I put in $1,000, let's say, and I get less than 1,000 ADA, right? Because in my first couple buys, I was getting 10,000, 20,000 ADA, right? Um, but I've convinced myself I'm at least gonna continue my DCA. Originally, it was up till $1, but I actually just made another DCA yesterday. At like $1.05. For now, I'm at least going to continue my DCA until $1.38, which I believe is the previous all-time high, right? And I'm not saying I won't continue it after then, but I've committed myself to saying no matter what the price of ADA is, as long as it's below $1.38, I'm putting in 25 to 33% of my after-tax income. That's a good chunk of change, right? Like, um, I've actually made cutbacks to my personal lifestyle and my like what we do as a family with my wife and 4 kids, because like I'm saying, let's save a little bit of money now, because I think like we're getting in early, and we want, if we save now, we can get more from the explosive growth we're about to go through, I think, or that we will go through when things do pop off. But um yeah, it maybe I'll up that to like $2.50 or $5. I don't know how, for at what limit I would stop, not stop, buying ADA. And just to disclose my exit plan. My exit plan is I don't have an exit plan. I plan on holding my ADA and potentially in the future living off the staking rewards only. But I don't want to touch my base capital. I think that's a pretty common thing in the Cardano community. But whether it goes up or whether it goes down, I want to preserve my capital, my ADA that I've accumulated as much as possible, and just transition to selling what do you call it, staking rewards. And if possible, I think what would be really cool as a stake pool operator is, rather than selling my stake pool rewards on Binance or something like that, potentially onboarding new people into ADA and directly like fiat for ADA transactions offline, right? Where that way, me selling my staking rewards is actually not just like hitting a centralized exchange and like adding to some kind of like volume on the market transaction, but I'm thinking that if I actually have to find a human being, Darko, I agree. I like where your head's at. Um, I think it's actually kind of like a network marketing effect as well, right? Like if I have to find a buyer in my real life for, let's say, every month, 340 ADA times 6 epochs. That's just, I'm using the minimum pool fee, right? That's like what, like around 2,000 ish ADA. Is that right? No, no. 3 times 6, 3,000 ish ADA a month. If I have to find someone to buy 3,000 ADA a month, right? Like that's kind of cool, I think, actually, right? And that might actually be a cool video if like we sit down in a cafe or whatever and talk about ADA and say like, what's got you interested, and what are your concerns and that kind of thing. And then also like, yeah, I just don't have to put my money into Binance, and as Darko said, I don't have to, like register this transaction with banks and all that kind of nasty stuff. So that's my kind of thinking. 540 million ADA just staked in the last 2 hours. Here's the link. I love Nirop Pieter. I was actually really happy because I'm how badly am I saying this name? My European friends, Pieter Nirop. That's like fake Russian accent. But I think he retweeted actually that I was going live. Where was it? Where was it? Where was it? If I go to my profile, I think I can see it. What? Oh, that's the wrong thing. Retweets. Yeah, Pieter Nirop retweeted this. I really like him. I love his wallet updates. I think that is another kind of like leading indicator. Do you guys know what leading and lagging indicators are? So I do this in business. A leading indicator is something that like tells you something about something that is going to happen, or when you look at it, you can kind of get a sense of where things are going. And a lagging indicator is a sense of like where things have been, right? I think there's some like project management people in here and stuff like that. But what's an example? Like, um, you might do like when I was working in factory automation in India, like with robots and stuff like that. What we would sometimes do is we would look at, like some kind of like a defect count, how many parts per thousand had some kind of error in them. And so we would call that a lagging indicator because you're recording something after it's happened, right? And the tricky thing is you can only record things as or after they're happening, but some of them tend to be more predictive in the future, right? Like maybe every morning if we take attendance at the factory and we see like how many people are coming in drunk, right? I think in some parts of the world that you have to like breathe into a tube when you go into a factory. Like that might be a leading indicator for like accidents or other kinds of errors in quality control, that kind of thing. Because obviously being intoxicated while manufacturing is not super recommended, because you can actually seriously injure yourself or others in some kind of industrial incident. So, why I'm talking about leading and lagging indicators. I actually think Pieter's posts are super helpful for as a kind of leading indicator. There's not many things in the world that can be leading indicators, right? It's very hard, but in as much as that this is kind of this is what I'm talking about. This is like he does this I think every day, and it kind of gives you a sense of like how things are being onboarded into Cardano. Of course, these numbers are subject to manipulation. Like I can make any number of wallets I want to. So you have to take this kind of thing with a grain of salt. Not what he's doing, but the numbers underlying it. I do think there are probably chains that like fake transaction volumes and different things like that. But I think we see this looks pretty organic to me. There's a few random aberrations that I don't know what's going on there, but I'm not too worried about it. Looks like an organic growth to me. So I would say this is a leading indicator. It's one of the best leading indicators you can find for Cardano is this kind of thing. I like that dude too. 540 million ADA stake. So yeah, that was the link to Pieter. Do you guys get this kitten ad? I've never watched it. I don't know what it is. And I'm really confused. Like, why is there a leopard and this dude in a hat? You know who he reminds me of a little bit? I don't know if you've watched USA 01, James Keever. He has those very professional, like CNN style videos where like he's reading from a teleprompter and they're super short. He's like the opposite of me. He's able to like make a video that's only 3 to 5 minutes long and it has like compelling, good short content. This guy's face kind of reminds me of James Keever. I'm gonna look up James Keever right now. Where? Oh, this guy. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Let's go. James Keever versus So easy, my kitten can do it. What do you think? No? Is it the beard? I'm not moving on until I get a comment in chat. James Giver versus So Easy My Kitten Can Do It. Yes or no? Am I racist? Do I think all white people look the same? Okay, maybe I am moving on. But I would appreciate if someone tells me if this is not true or not. We are 82% decentralized. Yeah, this is super cool. I think it's end of March is when this is all going to be done. This number is going to 100, and this is actually this is cool for two reasons. One, because obviously like being decentralized is awesome, but uh, thank you Tarko, thank you Forge. Okay, I'm gonna. Do you guys all? My second question. Do you guys also get this ad? I don't know why this ad is like. I see this every day on Reddit, like multiple times while I'm scrolling in the same subreddit. I don't know why. If he's targeted like crypto people or what. Um, yeah. So back to the decentralization number. This is the percentage of blocks that are made by pools rather than by the BFT, the Byzantine fault tolerant nodes that IOHK runs. So some people get confused a little bit by this. I think even I'm confused. So please excuse me if I'm making a mistake. But there are a set of nodes that IOHK runs that are not stake pool nodes. They're just like these BFT nodes. And originally, before Shelley, the entire network was run off of those nodes, right? And then when Shelley launched, now pool operators could open up their relays and their block producer nodes, and that happened, right? And originally, I think when this launched, I think it was only like 10%, right? And every epic, except for that little break during Christmas, New Year's, this number has gone up by 2%, and the epic right before New Year's where it went up by 6%, I think. But this means that more and more of the blocks on the network are actually made by stake pools, and those IOHK stake pools, like the IOG private ones, the 64 million ADA fully pledged pools, those are not the BFT nodes. Those are basically stake pools on the network, so they count as decentralized, right? Because those are IOHK's personal holdings, not personal, organizational holdings of ADA. So there's that. And then the other confusing thing while we're in this conversation, there's IOG's money, which is in those stake pools, which is just privately held corporate money. There's the reserves, which are like the 45 billion minus like the 31 billion. Like that's the ADA that all the staking rewards come from. And then there's the treasury, right? So the treasury has by the way, small update for the channel. I bought a cheap Android tablet that's coming to me so that I can do some kind of whiteboard drawings as we talk about stuff. I think that'll make things a little bit interesting and better than just voice and oh, my camera battery died over video. So hopefully that'll make for some more compelling content if we can kind of draw some things out. But right, we have the reserve. Most of the money goes to delegators and stake pool operators, but every epic there is a small thing that goes to the treasury, and that's where Catalyst is funded from. So you have all these different big piles of money. There's IOG's private money, there's the reserves, which are not really money, but they're like money waiting to be made per se, and then there's money that goes back to the treasury from that. So that's kind of cool. I'm gonna change the battery in my camera so that when I wrap this up, I can switch back to my face and say goodbye to you guys. Okay. Where were we? 82%. Cardano. This is also cool. The most active chain after Bitcoin. It's only a matter of time. I think what they're doing here is they are just looking at the amount of transaction volume, right? Yeah. If you look at this rightmost column in the last 24 hours, 13 billion has been moved on Cardano versus, this is incredible. This is like fucking amazing, versus 12 billion on Ethereum. I know Cardano is not supposed to be like maximalist land, I don't know if it's possible. I'm kind of a Cardano maximalist. I don't think that Ethereum can compete with Cardano long term. And uh, yeah, I think that that is just a dumpster fire, and it will be better for the community when it dies. And it's kind of crazy that I remember when I got into this, Cardano was kind of like bordering on the top 10. It fell out of the top 10 a few times, and I just feel super lucky to have gotten into this as it's kind of gone up and gone crazy. And yeah, this was also something kind of cool. Venture Vulture LA. This, did you guys see this? There's like 14 new pools. They have like random alphanumeric names like QAMN or like JEGT. Just random four random letters. And yeah, 14 new pools. Like this could be Coinbase. This could be maybe Grayscale. This could be one of the large exchanges basically setting up their their uh their pools for when they open. But it's a pretty cool thing for. Why is it cool? Why do I say it's cool? Because it in as much as like let's say money shows interest, this shows a lot of interest in Cardano, right? They even 403 million US dollars. Someone is so has either attracted other people's money into Cardano or has invested their own money into Cardano, because those are the two ways that you get money, right? And has said, I'm doing something in Cardano and I'm dedicating $400 million of capital to doing it. So, you know, read from that what you will, but to my mind, people who do $400 million of activity probably do a decent amount of research before they do it, and they probably make sure that like what they're doing is actually, solid and making sense. So uh what is the saying? Quantity has a quality all its own. I think that's like a Stalin quote or something. Quality has a quantity has a quality of its own. Yeah, this is like a perfect Stalin. If it is Stalin, it could be misattributed to him. But what does this mean? Sometimes something being big is like, usually you talk about quantity versus quality, but sometimes just size and scale are interesting and like they have a quality of unto themselves. And what I'm saying here is a little bit like $400 million is, it's, at a nation level it's not a lot, but for you and I and for like even for like a normal business, I think 400 million, put it into context. What was Michael Saylor's Bitcoin purchases? His first one, I think it was 250 million. Michael Saylor BTC purchase. What was his first? Like I think they've gone a little bit deeper, but I think the first purchase was something around 250 million. So, you think about the amount of news and coverage that got. This is not necessarily someone buying ADA, but moving around ADA. But someone is sitting on 400 million ADA, $400 million of ADA. Um, yeah, and they're choosing to kind of develop or do something with it. Looks like setting up some stake pools. This is, I think, something we talked about earlier. Some random company switching from Ethereum to Cardano. DNA tags, it looks like. I read this earlier. I don't know what they do. I don't know what their product is, but it is kind of cool that um, just I think we brought this up in the context of Charles Hoskinson's tweet, and not just Singularity AI switching over, but a few other things switching over too. I think I'm gonna be wrapping this up soon. I'll try to keep going on as long as I can. But if you have any questions or any ideas for other stuff, please get them in there. So this is your advanced warning. If there's some topic you want to discuss or some ideas you had about the things that we were talking about earlier, I'd love to see those. I do notice, I don't know how, but we've gotten to 87 subscribers. Uh, So I guess everyone has already liked and subscribed, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. But yeah, if you don't mind, if you like this and you want to support what we're doing, please do that. Share the video. Probably don't share this video. Probably share the either the crypto stamping video, or there was also a new video. I might actually play that on stream. I might play a YouTube video on stream of my pool introduction. I kind of put a little bit of time and effort into that. I think I'll close this out with that at the end. Transactions on ETH are currently 3,540% more expensive than ADA. Right? I just don't get it. How like I see people paying like hundreds of dollars in fees for as gas for Ethereum contracts, and it's just like, when I first got into Bitcoin, the whole point, my use case was, my father's Japanese, my mother's American, and I moved back and forth between the States and Japan a lot, and I actually had to send money from the USA to Japan, or from Japan to the USA several times, and I had to pay, like $50, $40 to send it, and it takes a week, and I have to go to the bank, and I have to fill out these forms, and back when I first got involved in Bitcoin, the fees in Bitcoin were not that much, and there was not that much activity on the network. So like, it was super cool that I could send money to myself, um, and withdraw it on, at the time it was Mount Gox. I don't know if any of you know what Mount Gox is, but luckily I didn't lose any money in Mount Gox, or Bitfinex and Coinbase. I think I used Coinbase in the States, but that I could send money to myself without this. Of course, I had to use these on ramps and off ramps to turn it into fiat at the end. But um, what I'm trying to say is, to me, one of the core principles of a cryptocurrency is like fast, cheap transactions. And if you're not fast and you're not cheap, what the fuck is the point of having a cryptocurrency? What state do I visit? I was born in around the East Coast. I grew up in Boston, Connecticut, New York, in the U.S. And I went to high school in Utah because my mother went crazy for a short period of time. And so, because I wanted to get out of Utah, I went to undergrad in Tokyo. I just wanted to get out of Utah. That was my goal. I eventually went back to Michigan, Ann Arbor for grad school. I got some graduate degrees, did some stuff there, and then I moved to India afterwards. So I grew up in the States. I went back and forth to Japan a few times, because my father's Japanese, visiting family and stuff like that. But it wasn't until I was 18 years old that I moved to Japan to live, where I went to undergrad, and then I left Japan. And I only moved back to Japan actually a year or two ago from India. Um, Darko, that's a little bit close to home. I basically, I think I moved almost every year growing up until I was around like 14 or 15. So yeah, there was a time where I always did well in school, but I kind of learned that I didn't, at some kind of time of the year, I didn't really have to do my like big project, like let's say my paper, because I knew like we'd be moving soon. And so there was, like, I could be a sucker and I could work on that project, or I could do what I wanted to do and be saved by the fact that we would be moving soon, and then I wouldn't have to submit my final report or whatever. So, yes, a little bit close to home. Always the new kid in school. It was definitely, it was actually something I had to overcome in my life, was because of that tendency to move around every year. I didn't really learn how to commit to something and how to like see it through to the end, and I kind of got a little bit scatterbrained. Uh, and so tell me about that sometime offline or whatever, Darko. I'm curious what the thing is. But when I in my adult life, I had to kind of learn how to like stick with something, because I found that some people, not to get too metaphysical or whatever, but um, they think that changing their scenery, or like by moving their jobs or moving their house or whatever, that like their problems will go away. And what I found actually is that if you don't figure out how to solve your problems in a location, those problems will just follow you to the new place. So I'll give you an example. I had a person in my life who wanted to quit their job because of some problem with their boss, like some issue, right? And I said the advice that I gave them that they ended up taking, and I like giving, is that figure out how to solve that problem with your boss at your current position before you quit and before you move on. Because it's very likely that in your future, in your career, you'll probably have another boss that is like a whatever, right? And you'll probably have that same issue. And if you don't know how to solve that problem when you encounter that thing again, you're going to be in the same place. And what are you going to do? You're going to move your jobs again. You're going to move your family again. So this is all to say that sometimes kind of goes back to quantity and quality that we were talking about. Traveling down the same road, you see more new stuff than changing your road every, year. Because by doing something a long time and doing something well, you get more experience and you get more knowledge necessarily, and you see more new stuff than like if you go to Thailand for 3 days and then you go to Bali for 3 days, like you're seeing the same shit. Like you're seeing like beach vacation town, right? But if you live in Bali for like a couple years, you probably get to know and experience things a lot more in depth. So I don't know why I'm talking about that. Sorry. Binance, a centralized exchange, is taking a total advantage of absurdly high gas fees, and unfortunately, they're doing a damn good job. I'm getting pretty uncomfortable with Binance. Um, I used to love to hate on Ripple, or not. I didn't love to hate on it. I didn't like to waste my time thinking about Ripple, but I really disliked what Ripple was doing in the crypto space. And I'm not sure. Like, do people mine BNB, or is it just issued by Binance? Like, I've held on to BNB at some point because like of the discounts you get for trading. Back when I was trying to trade ADA and lose money like an idiot. But and I've paid my commission fees in BNB, but I know nothing about the coin. Like, is it just issued by them like Ripple, or is there a network of nodes that are mining BNB? Right, and yeah, they're just acting as, is it just an Ethereum? One thing I read right here, right? It's just it's just a fork of Ethereum and a fork of Uniswap. Weird. But I'm pretty wary of those kind of centralized entities in crypto spaces. This is actually one thing I want to talk about, and I think it's actually useful. Does everyone have that feeling of panic and despair when transferring funds? I am absolutely having a moment every single time. Sweaty hands, heart is beating fast, muscle pain. So I've started to manage a wallet for my mother, and I've actually helped a few other friends get crypto. When I'm doing my own personal transactions, I don't really sweat too much or worry too much because I'm pretty used to it. But I get very worried when like I'm helping a friend download Daedalus. Like, let's say the example, somebody gives me money in real life. They failed the KYC because whatever, of our local exchanges. So I basically take their money, I buy Bitcoin with it, I send it to Binance, I buy ADA with that, and then I'm trying to withdraw their ADA to their Daedalus wallet. I get very nervous doing that because I don't know, like, have they made a typo or have they whatever, that kind of thing. So what I do when I'm trying to transfer crypto is I go and I copy the address that I need from the wallet I'm using. I paste it into the withdrawal window on Binance, and then I check the first 4 characters or so and the last 4 characters or so to make sure that like I didn't accidentally hit another character while hitting Control V paste into the window, and that's worked out for me so far. I haven't managed to burn any crypto in my 10 years or so of making crypto transfers, but I do get nervous for other when I'm managing other people's money or transferring other people's money for them. I get very nervous about that. So I think we mentioned this: Daedalus mobile devices, PSA. So I think we've been doing this for about an hour and 16 minutes. I think y'all must be pretty bored. So I'm gonna let you guys go. Have a good evening. I hope Cardano's been good to you the past week or so. And yeah, I appreciate you spending time. I think we got 8 people in chat now. So thank you, Darko. Thank you, Forge, for being active, and also my favorite MAGA hat wearer, 1024th. Thank you guys for being in chat, and thank you for your support. A lot of you, or some of you, recently delegated with Monad, and just wanted to say thank you for supporting us. And I will be working hard to make sure that you get return on your stake. Okay. So cheers, and be in touch. I like talking with some of you guys offline, so let me know. Okay. Have a good one. Hope you had a good weekend. Bye bye.